All right, so that was a disaster. Um, so I'm recording this on July 5th. Um, and it's been a disaster. This weekend was essentially still a disaster. Winnable games that and we only got one out of the weekend. So I have to think about what the next step is and like what fixes everything. Um, I feel like I can't really talk about this without addressing what Hal said last week. He said it's like it's a little bit of me, it's a little bit of Brian, it's a little bit of Aaron, but make no mistake, it's mostly the players. They have to play better. That's a statement that I agree with and a statement that I've been agreeing with. For quite some time. At the end of the day, these are professional ball players who have shown us they can be successful with this coaching staff. And at the end of the day, they're the ones who are in control of the fate of the game. I don't love just mindlessly chucking Aaron Boone under the bus because, again, we have won 200 games in 2 years with Aaron Boone as the manager. If Aaron Boone was a horrible manager, that wouldn't have happened. Now you could say, oh, anyone would have won with that team. Okay, well, this is essentially the same team. This is essentially the same team that he won pretty much 200 games with, give or take a few other people. But I do not like mindlessly throwing him under the bus. I am a sum of all its parts, guys. Everything that happens is the sum of all the things that are happening. And I think what the Yankees are a couple big add-ins that led to this sum are the fact that we built a home run hitting team, and then which comes with its own problems that I talk about all the time about that it's inconsistent, it's unreliable. But you have a home run hitting team who then they said, okay, we're gonna change the baseball so you can't hit home runs anymore. Then you spent a crap ton of money on Garrett Cole. Then he said, cool, you can't use any of the stuff that he was successful with. So that's obviously the Yankees got hit hard by some of these changes. You could blame that on Manfred, but it's again that those are more things are more complicated than just blaming one person or one thing for. I'm more interested now in what do you do going forward. And I said it in the last video. Mindlessly firing Aaron Boone is just putting new paint on a car and saying you fix the engine. I don't think that's going to do much. So here are the which is one thing I think definitely needs to happen. The second is kind of like a toss up with a mess of things that can happen. I am not sure how much of either one of these will be instantly effectful this year. Um, this is kind of like a not a long game plan because a long game to me means like 5 years ish. This is something like a next year or the year after kind of thing that we're kind of doing, or essentially a next year thing. Let's do it. Let's talk about like what the fixes would be for next year. But the immediate fix that would happen right now was Giancarlo Stanton has to play the outfield, and I love Giancarlo Stanton. He has hit baseballs in my favorite team's uniform at speeds and distances that I didn't even know could exist. I absolutely love this guy. For that, I'm very thankful I got to see that in my uniform. But we were spending an awful lot of money on him, and he's not playing the outfield. I do not think he doesn't want to play the outfield. I think the Yankees are afraid to put him in the outfield. And what's going to happen is you're going to have to put him in the outfield because we're not getting much production out of the outfield, at least out of center and left field. Not the production that we need. And we're gonna have to stick him there so we can add another bat somewhere that could be useful. And so you could also eliminate the need for like a Brett Gardner to, even though Brett is reliable outfielding wise, like he's not hitting, and Clint Frazier isn't hitting a thing, which is a shame. I think he has a beautiful looking swing. He has probably the best right-handed looking swing in baseball. But he doesn't do. We missed our chance to trade him. I think he got hot. Was it last year, or the year before? I think it was last year. He got hot for a while, and I think that would have been the chance to have ended the season on that. Be like, cool, now we could dangle for a trade. Maybe someone else would try to see if they could ride that wave. But he clearly did not ride that wave with us. So we really missed our chance to get what little we could have gotten from that, and I think we're kind of paying the price for that. I like the guy, and I root for the guy. Obviously, I root for the guy, and I enjoy seeing him be successful. But we're not getting the production we need out of him. So what we need to do is we need to get Stanton to go in the outfield, and we have to trust that what has been keeping him healthy, knock on wood, so far, will continue to keep him healthy. We have to trust that because we're kind of out of options. He has to do that. Um, and then here's the big question, in my opinion, the big million question is what to do with, or does Aaron Judge need to be traded? Should he be traded? How does he get traded? And or do we just let him walk when that time comes? Which isn't this year, I believe it's the following year. Um, so my prediction going into this year was when the time comes that this all has to get decided, the Yankees cannot afford Glaber and Judge, and the Yankees are probably going to choose Glaber because they're going to see the value of the shortstop as more valuable than the right fielder who gets injured a lot. Um, and that's also enforced by the fact you're going to get more of a return from Judge. So I thought going into the season that's what the Yankees' mindset would be. This year has been a phenomenal demonstration of why that was not a correct thing to say so far. Again, knock on wood. Um, what I don't know is, well, I do think it's absolutely true. You're going to get more of a return from Judge than you do on Torres. Um, Glaber has not been productive the last 2 years, almost at all. I do not think he's a very, very good shortstop. Well, I don't think he's detrimental at shortstop, at least anymore. And I did not like him at shortstop since we got rid of Didi. I said way back then. There's a video probably on this channel, at least I think it's still up, where saying it's a bad idea. I think we're going to regret putting Glaber at shortstop, and we've kind of mostly been right on that, which sucks. I wanted to be wrong on that. But here's why I think Judge has to say and Glaber has to be the one to go. Should you have to get rid of both of them, is because what this fan base is already frustrated with the front office, and they already say Hal's too cheap, which is not true. We have the second highest payroll in baseball. We're paying like upwards of $200 million. That's not true. But regardless, people think that, even though it's not true. What message is that going to send when we're already frustrated and you take our franchise player, our easily, I think, probably the fan favorite player in all the New York Yankees, and you say, adios, we can't keep you. We're the Yankees. We're supposed to be able to keep everybody who we want to keep. What does that say? I also, granted, you can get a big return from him, but I think that sends out a big message of that's going to really piss off a lot of people, and I think the Yankees will really feel that one in their wallet if you get rid of Aaron Judge. And do the ends justify the means? I don't think so, because at the end of the day, I do not think Glaber is contributing enough to justify choosing him over Judge to begin with. So even though Judge will probably cost some money, and I understand it's going to be a lot of money, and I understand we're kind of in a hole with money. I think he has to be the guy you keep, not just because he's good, but for he's the glue for the team. He's the glue for the fan base. He is the one that we have all really embraced the most. And I don't think Gleyber Torres can at all step into that role at all. And he's not productive enough to justify that. So I think if one of those two has to go, I'm sorry, I think that has to be Glaber. Who has to go? Is that going to happen this year? Probably not. Like I said, this would have to be like an off-season move, and then you're going to have to really talk to Aaron Judge and start getting a team-friendly-ish extension, which I'm confident that I don't think it's going to cost, I guess, a lot of money, as nuclear amount as some people are assumed, because we've seen DJ LeMahieu is taking a team-friendly-ish kind of deal, and I think Judge is in a spot where we can give him a respectable amount of money, and he understands the value he has. And I also think that what's it called? I think he wants to stay here, and he wants to be with these people and his teammates. And DJ LeMahieu might serve as an example of maybe it's okay to not be so high on your horse as far as money, but the Yankees could still offer a respectable amount of money, but one that would still keep him here for a respectable amount of time, like maybe like a 4 or 5 year kind of thing, or maybe like a 5, 6 year thing. I think it would be more likely to get him, and obviously you're gambling on what's going to happen on the back end of that. But I do think it's possible to keep Aaron Judge here with a respectable amount and still improve this team. I think of all those baby bombers, Glaber's got to be the one who gets the short end of the stick. Gary's another one. I don't know how much value he has. Gary's going to depend on what are you getting for it in return, or what are your catching options. So I'm not sure if I know how to comment on what to do with Gary as of this moment. I really don't. but if it came down to Judge or Glaber, even though I understand why you a lot of people think the Judge should be the one to go because of the high return. I just think that absolutely kills this fan base. That pisses everybody off. The Yankees will fear that in their wallets, and we're really going to be in trouble. We will really be in trouble if that happens. And I don't think that that's an image the Yankees can afford, both afford with their money, afford with the morale to really put out. Unless you win the World Series like instantly, which I don't know if you can guarantee that. But if you trade Aaron Judge, you better be doing that to win the World Series like freaking now, in order for that to happen. And I just think it's too much. So those are the two things. I think Torres has to be replaced at shortstop, or does Gio go and then you put DJ LeMahieu at third? That's a thing to think about. But again, why would you get rid of that consistent player? I don't know. It's a lot, but that's what I would do. And again, Stanton has to go in the outfield. That's what I got.